Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes' Illuminati, the man who rules the world, takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes' Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Better get the coleslaw, y'all, cause we're having us a barbecue. I got a chance to take a look at the trailer for Captain America Brave New World. And while Marvel Studios is trying to show us a whole new world with Sam Wilson as Captain America, all I saw was the same dysfunctional world of Marvel Studios' Phase 5, and what looks like to be the end of the world for Kevin Feige and his tenure over at Marvel Studios. Now, Captain America Brave New World is supposed to be showing us Sam Wilson in his first major story as Captain America, but what I saw in that whole plot was not something that just didn't answer that critical question every screenwriter like myself has to answer before we put fingers to the keyboard, and that is, why should we care? And it's hard to care about the entire plot of Captain America Brave New World because the story basically feels like a rehash of everything we went through with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where we now have President General Thunderbolt Ross looking to be a Trump stand-in, looking to try to make the title of Captain America into an official government position. Now, this basically was shown to fail with John Walker in the previous Falcon and the Winter Soldier Disney Plus series that was made for far less money than Captain America Brave New World, but what we get is a rehash of this plot and made to believe that we're getting a brand new story that's going to create a brave new world for Sam Wilson, but I really don't see anything that's compelling as related to this story that really makes me care the way I used to with Chris Evans as Captain America in stories like Captain America the First Avenger and stories like Captain America the Winter Soldier. Now, those stories were basically put together during a time when Kevin Feige was more focused on craft as related to story and looking to develop the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But as the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become a hot commercial property for Disney and things have become commodified, the entire process for making films over at Marvel Studios, what's happened over there is that as it's become more commodified, they're not really focused on getting out quality stories, and that really shows with the overall trailer of Captain America Brave New World, where we clearly see that they're not really taking many risks as related to story. No, we really don't see them taking risks because everything in this story basically is cut and pasted from previous Captain America stories, such as The Winter Soldier, with a little bit of plot points from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and what I saw on screen really doesn't seem like anything I would really care about. And what's even more troubling to me is that this film is supposedly costing $375 million, but I don't see any of that money on the screen. No, when it comes to Captain America Brave New World, I don't really see Marvel Studios taking the risks that they used to when they first started making the films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Films like Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America the First Avenger really had a lot of things that were on screen that really popped as related to visuals and had really strong storytelling. But when I look at Captain America Brave New World, all I see is Kevin Feige and Bob Iger playing it safe, and playing it so safe that we get a really bland, uninspired trailer with really none of that enthusiasm or energy we got when they made films like Captain America Civil War. Now, the Captain America Civil War trailer was very exciting because we got a great mix of politics as related to the superhero world with the whole world of government, and really flowed dynamically as related to building a turning point in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A turning point for the worse, but a turning point no less. I mean, the first couple of acts of Captain America Civil War were absolutely fantastic, but everything just seemed to fall apart after the entire airport battle scene. That's where the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe showed its first crack. But this one, Brave New World, basically looks like the end of the world of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and looks like the end of the world for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because this film just really isn't showing how compelling it is. I mean, a trailer's supposed to really make you care about the film, and when I look at the storyline that's been rehashed and everything pointing to basically Marvel Studios being in a desperate place, they're basically throwing crap on a wall and hoping something sticks, and nothing really sticks here because they basically start out with Anthony Mackie, a supporting actor, being thrust into a lead role that he really cannot really fit in, because it's basically him wearing the hand-me-down costume of Steve Rogers and John Walker, and that costume basically smells like the farts of two men, and as it smells like the farts of two men, he just doesn't have the charisma of Chris Evans, and because he doesn't have that charisma, he really comes across as bland, and when you have a guy who's the hero and the leading man, the hero really has to draw you in, but I don't really see how he draws you in as related to the story. He just feels very bland and just there for the sake of being there. He doesn't really have that dynamic charisma and personality that will make you say, hey, I want to see this guy be Captain America. No, he feels more like Captain America, and that's what he feels like to me, Captain America, just like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I mean, just another story about another token diversity character who is not really fitting into the role of the character because he doesn't have his own story, and that's the big problem with Sam Wilson as Captain America. He doesn't have his own story. He doesn't have this. He has nothing that makes me say that this is his mission as a hero. This is his mission that makes me feel like this is something he's fighting for. No, he's a dude in a hand-me-down costume fighting for somebody else's job, and basically a guy in a hand-me-down costume fighting for a cause that isn't his, and that's what really doesn't draw you in as related to the story, as related to the hero. Now, when it comes to the antagonist of the story, I don't really see a reason to care about the story. Now, I know some comic fans are like, oh, I'm happy to see the story build into Red Hulk, but I don't really see anything here that really makes me care. I mean, you got old grizzled Harrison Ford out here being the president and basically being a commentary as related to being, as I see it, a Trump stand-in. He's just a Trump stand-in to talk about the extremes of the far right, and Captain America is going to deal with this far right president by showing how he's going to stand up against him, really not really standing up for what Captain America stands for, which are the ideals of Captain America, and he can't stand for those ideals because he's not Steve Rogers, because the only way Captain America really works is with Steve Rogers, because Steve Rogers is the man who is standing for these values and these beliefs. Sam Wilson doesn't understand what Steve is standing for because, like Jim Rhodes, he's a sidekick, not a lead character. And lead characters can talk about things because they have a mission, they have a vision for what they're standing for. I mean, characters like Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America can say they stand for something because they are the originators of that mission. I mean, when it comes to Captain America, Steve Rogers is the man who is patriotic and wants to stand for the ideals of America, and you can't just put somebody else in that role because they just won't work. I mean, late comic editor Mark Grunwald made this point when people came to him and said, Captain America needs to be more like Rambo. Well, that's why he made John Walker, because he wanted to show that John Walker was standing for those 80s ideals of being more aggressive, being more violent, being more emotional, and showing these are not Captain America's principles. And the same thing with Sam Wilson. Sam is the Falcon. Yes, he may have been Cap's sidekick, but his mission is different. And that's why this doesn't feel like a Captain America movie. It just doesn't have that feel because, again, only Steve Rogers can be Captain America. And this movie just doesn't feel like a Captain America movie. It just feels like something that's just being made just to be able to grab more cash. But sadly, as Marvel Studios has tried to grab more cash with its Phase 5, we see that the entire veneer for the Marvel Cinematic Universe is falling completely apart, and this film basically may be the one that may be the end of the world of working at Marvel Studios for Kevin Feige, because in the business of entertainment, when you have 3 straight flops, it basically means that your career as an executive is over. And when I look at Captain America Brave New World and it costing over $375 million and being reshot multiple times and us getting a very flat and uninspired trailer, that's a red flag for me as someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years. For someone who has studied the entertainment industry for over 25 years, I can tell you when a film basically has gone through multiple rewrites, multiple reshoots, it's just basically that film is dead on arrival, and that's shown by Disney basically releasing this film on February 14th, Valentine's Day. I mean, you wouldn't want to release a film like this on Valentine's Day. No, what you want to release at this time are rom-coms or some sort of movie that's a romance. That's what you want to release because most folks want to go to the movies, want to go see a romance. So when I heard February 14th, you're releasing Captain America Brave New World, I already know it's the end of the world, and based what I saw on screen as related to this movie's whole plot, it's already a dead-on-arrival movie because this movie, again, was rewritten multiple times. And when I see multiple rewrites and multiple reshoots, I already know that that movie is going to be a jumbled mess. And I know it's going to be a jumbled mess because we're not going to get a clear vision from the director. We're going to get multiple cuts of different stories, and it's not going to flow together and synergize because when you have a screenplay that's constantly being rewritten, nothing is going to remain consistent. I know this from experience because when I wrote my first novel, The Changing Soul, it was a jumbled mess, and it was a jumbled mess because for a couple of years I kept trying to rewrite the entire book, and what I wrote was a complete mess at the end. And when you don't have a clear focus, your story's not going to flow. So I know we've gone from Serpent Society to different types of villains like the Leader, and it's supposed to build into this story of the Red Hulk and the rise of the Thunderbolts, but I don't really see this flowing organically into a compelling story. And the whole idea of Sam Wilson, Captain America, taking on the Red Hulk just seems like something really bad. It seems like we're getting the great value version of superheroes or the generic version of superheroes, because instead of us getting the real superheroes like Steve Rogers versus Bruce Banner, what we're getting are these just like knockoff versions. I mean, you got Sam Wilson Captain America without the super soldier serum. You've got the Red Hulk, who's basically taking a gamma-powered version of the super soldier serum. So we're not really getting the real fight between the real Captain America and the Hulk. No, what we're getting is a great value version with Mexican knockoff action figures, and that basically was shown in the PS3 level CGI of the Red Hulk, and Red Hulk throwing Cap's shield into the dirt, basically, of the grass of the White House, really isn't compelling enough to me. I mean, that's not a fight I want to pay $17, $18 to go see. No, if I want to see a fight between Captain America and the Hulk, I want to see Cap with the super soldier serum go out here and take on Sam Wilson. But not Sam Wilson, but Steve Rogers. I want to see Bruce Banner taking on Steve Rogers, not see the great value versions of Captain America and the Red Hulk. No, I mean, if you watch the original Incredible Hulk movie, it's shown that a guy with the super soldier serum basically got all his bones broken. I mean, Emil Blonsky got all of his bones broken by Bruce Banner. So how am I supposed to believe Sam Wilson stands a chance against a Red Hulk when A guy who took the super soldier serum already got all of his bones broken by the Green Hulk. Critical question I want to ask Kevin Feige. I mean, you already had this fight before, and we already knew the outcome of a guy who had the super soldier serum, and here you're wanting me to believe that because Sam Wilson is Captain America, he stands a greater chance, even though he's wearing vibranium so-called shield and has a vibranium costume. You want me to believe that he actually stands a chance when Blonsky basically got all his bones broken? I mean, this makes no logical sense. And the whole concept of Captain America versus Red Hulk, again, yeah, it sounds like a nice idea on paper, but when you go out here and look to implement this, even in a comic book, it doesn't work. So I see a complete cinematic disaster getting ready to happen, and may possibly the cinematic disaster that leads to superhero movies winding up on the shelf, because the business model for these films is one that's not being profitable as related to things with Marvel Studios fail Phase 4 and fail 5, Phase 5. I don't see this film doing well. I see it actually being on the level of big time failures like Heaven's Gate and the 2004 Catwoman. I see it being a major disaster because when you spend $375 million, there's no way you can pull a profit, and this movie basically isn't going to be able to pull a profit the same way that the Marvels wasn't able to pull a profit, because once the weak trailer came out, there was no excitement. So if you can't build buzz and excitement, you're already starting off on the wrong foot. And if you're starting off on the wrong foot as related to buzz and excitement, what's happening now is that you're gonna not really be able to build that momentum and excitement to get that box office. And again, with these films costing $375 million, again, you have a film that basically needs to clear $1.5 billion just to break even, and you have a film that needs to clear $2 billion just to make a profit. And sadly, what's on screen for Captain America Brave New World doesn't take as much risk as Avatar. I mean, with Avatar, we could see the money on the screen, and when we saw the money on the screen, that basically was the road to Avatar making $2 billion. And sadly, when it came to Marvel Studios, they just didn't take enough risks on screen, and they really couldn't take that much risk on screen with Captain America. So I look at this film, and it's going to look like, it looks on paper like one of the biggest bombs that's getting ready to happen, because unlike a visionary like James Cameron, James Cameron with Terminator 2, that was one of the first $100 million movies, but James Cameron guaranteed everything was on screen, and with everything on screen, he made one of the greatest blockbusters of cinematic history, and he made a film that ages so well that 30 years later, it can hold its own with Marvel Studios films with this crap CGI. What's sad about the Red Hulk is that you have James Cameron's Terminator 2 with its old, outdated special effects, and it's far superior to anything that Marvel Studios has put in their films for the last, 5 to 7 years. If you look at Terminator 2 Judgment Day, the sequences just, again, hold their own and are far more compelling than anything that Marvel Studios has produced, even in the last couple of years, because the CGI, they've been overcompensating for a weak story with CGI. They've been overcompensating by trying to use these visual special effects to the point where the woman Alonso basically burnt out many CGI people and just looked to hold the film up on CGI because their writers were basically rushing out stories that weren't compelling. And that's what I'm seeing here with the Marvel Studios Captain America Brave New World, a film that basically shows me that Marvel Studios is afraid of taking risks, afraid of being creative, afraid of doing things, because they want to create a guaranteed formula for success, but that guaranteed formula, what they believe for success, has become obsolete, because in the medium of film, you have to keep creating and innovating, and we're not getting that. No, what has happened because of Kevin Feige and Bob Iger becoming complacent is they're making films on an assembly line similar to that of Chevrolet Citations, Oldsmobile Forenzas, Pontiac Phoenixes, and Buick Skylarks. And instead of us getting really good films, what we're getting are mediocre films that cover up their weak stories with special effects. And like the GM X bodies that I use for my metaphors, we're getting product that's just really mediocre, and really does not really provide satisfying transportation as related to entertainment to take us from point A to point B. And these films just basically are there to be placeholders until the next story. And that's the sad part about Marvel Studios now, is that we've lost all the imagination and creativity. And we've lost the imagination and creativity at Marvel Studios because people have gotten comfortable and complacent. And instead of taking us to a brave new world of superheroes, we're stuck in a dysfunctional world of complacent creators who give us uninspired, mediocre trailers and want us to believe that this whole experience of Captain America Brave New World is something that you would want to spend money to be the next blockbuster. But I see a film that's just going to bust Disney as related to being the second biggest bomb next to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a film that cost way too much because it didn't focus on a compelling script. No, because everyone was so afraid of failing, they didn't take risks in this script, and that was shown to me on screen as related to this film, because Captain America Brave New World is going to be possibly the end of the world of Marvel's cinematic universe for a bit of time, because what is presented on the screen here is looking like one of the biggest bombs in cinematic history, and it's one of the biggest bombs because it fails to answer a critical question that a screenwriter like myself has to answer, and that is, why should I care? Didn't see a single reason to care about anything in Captain America's Brave New World because the studio was afraid to take a risk and give me something entertaining and unique. Now, if you want to try out some of my action-packed fantasy fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, where I take far more risks than what was presented by Marvel Studios, you can pick up the action-packed adventures of the SJS Direct universe in books like the ISIS series, books like the Esteem series, books like the John Haynes series, the Goth Spinsterella trilogy, my black vampire novel Eternal Night, my sorority novel The Thetas, or my business novel Recipe for Success. I've got lots of great action and adventure in the SJS Direct universe, and you can pick up all those great books in paperback and Kindle format on Amazon.com, or you can pick them up at other online booksellers in paperback format such as Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target, or you can head over to the digital retailers like Draft Digital and Google Play and try out some of the great books of the SJS Direct universe and see stories that build a world of black characters that is extremely compelling. And if you want to pick up my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, you can find that comic over at lulu.com right now in paperback, and you can get a copy of John Haynes at Death's Door for the same price it was on the 2022 Kickstarter on Lulu. Now, I want to try to get it to Amazon, but I'm having issues with the formatting. I'm hoping to get John Haynes at Death's Door over there, but until then, you can get it at Lulu. And I also, again, I'm working on more comics and more great fantasy, and the only way I can do that is with your support. So if you guys could drop a donation over to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App, that's money I use to, again, pay for the internet and pay for doing comics and doing the covers of SJS Direct books, and I can't do that without your help. So if you guys could go out here and drop a donation over there, it would be greatly appreciated. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, The Temptation of John Haynes. Give in to temptation and pick up this action-packed African-American paranormal romance. Get The Temptation of John Haynes in paperback and e-readers today. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Dark Incubus. The goddess next door gets enthralled in a romantic entanglement with an evil incubus in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Dark Incubus in paperback and e-readers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.